Hey everyone, how's it going this morning? I hope you're doing really well. Denko and I are here. I'm Derek Silva, a community manager for Reef Finance, and of course we have Denko Mancheski, CEO of Reef Finance. Denko, how's it going today?
Thanks, Derek. Doing great. Looking forward to this fireside chat.
Good to hear. I just realized my my earbuds are not actually connected, so that's fine. I'll just set those aside for now. Um, Denko, as we get into this, and I'm going to be watching the chat and checking the questions that have come in, all 23 of them, so we can ask you some of the best ones later. Give us a little bit of recap of what you think went really well in Q3, and I guess some of the highlights for you personally.
Sure. So I think I would go instead of coverage for Q3 and what's coming in Q4, I will just briefly summarize the whole year pretty much. So Q1 was basically the quarter where we were focused on building the core blockchain layer. So this is the substrate framework, all the lowest level stuff. This is basically the foundational layer for Reef Chain. And in Q2, we launched the Canary network, the mainnet, and the testnet, and we focused on the tooling. So basically, the tooling is another layer below, above the foundational layer, which allows for interacting with the chain, storing the data in a more readable database, etc. So again, this is still the foundational layer. And then in Q3, which I will go in depth, we were focused on building the main supportive infrastructure. So this is something that most of the dApp developers are familiar with. So we had we deployed Hardhat, we deployed Remix. You could use Truffle and Web3. Basically, our goal was to recreate the same user experience that the developers have on other EVM blockchains. Reef is not just an EVM blockchain, right? It's a substrate chain, and the EVM is just one part of it. So basically, now I will go a bit deeper into Q3 and what we worked on, why those things are important, and what's coming in Q4. So the most important things in Q3 were finalizing the main SDKs, so the JavaScript and the Python SDKs. Now we have our own npm modules. These are the libraries that are necessary for developers to deploy their dApps on Reef Chain, as well as interact with our RPC node. Next is we built ReefSwap. Basically, ReefSwap is the first dApp on Reef. It's its own DEX. It's still a work in progress, but one can already go there, and we have some test tokens. Just a very small pool, so one really cannot exchange a lot of the Reef tokens for these test tokens. But it's a cool way to check out how the user experience looks. It works with the Polkadot.js extension right now, and in Q4 we are planning to have our own extension, which will improve the user experience even further. So besides that, there was a lot of work done on ReefSwap, on Reefscan. Reefscan is our block explorer. It's extremely fast, real time. You don't have to refresh. Everything happens basically automatically. And the cool thing about it is you can connect your extension and your address, and you can interact with the smart contract right away. So the smart contracts are verified there, and based on all the functions that are in the smart contracts, UI is automatically rendered. So you can call all the functions, read and write as well. We added support for Reef 20 tokens. You could see now all the general activity. You could see the slashing. So if some validators, they did not fulfill the requirements, they got slashed. You could see the contracts. You could verify the contracts. You could publish the contracts, and you could see all the Reef 20 tokens deployed. So if you compare the block explorer with Q2 and Q3, there is so many new features out there. Now what we are focused on is improving the UX and the design, and I will talk more about it when we get to Q4 and the Reef UI kit. Besides this, Q4 we've deployed Remix. It's fully integrated. You have automatic verifying of the smart contract. So the moment you deploy the smart contract, everything is connected, and the smart contract gets the checkbox. So that's working perfectly. We have hard hat as well, which is one of the most used tools for deploying the smart contracts. All of this is stable. And the other thing that we did is the EVM binding. So and I would like to explain a little bit more what this does. So when you create your Reef Chain address and you want to start interacting with the dApps, you need to bind your Reef address with your Reef EVM address. This is a one-click basically operation, and in our extension, this will be completely like invisible to the user. And what happens in the background? You now have your address is linked with they're like linked together. So whenever you spend, let's say, Reef through the Clever wallet, the EVM balance will be automatically subtracted. And in the future, we are working on adding more virtual machines besides the EVM. They might have different address format that uses different cryptography. So all of those three environments will be completely synchronized. You don't have to worry about anything. And by the way, Derek, you're muted.
Yeah, I was just I knew I was muted. Thankfully, I was just melting nice. So like I'm looking at the questions people are sending in, and I'm actually writing down some of the ones I want to ask later. But yeah, this is great. I'll say really quickly, I've seen Reef Swap. It looks gorgeous. I'm really excited to use it, on a more regular basis. And I agree about Reefscan. It's really cool just to see the data, just to fill out. If you stay on the page where you can actually see the blocks getting processed, you like new blocks just start rolling in. You don't need to refresh like Etherscan or anything like that. It's really, really cool. So congrats to the team on that. I know that they're still making improvements, and especially stability improvements around connections. People have been raising that in the Discord and Telegram, and probably the Reddit communities as well. But yeah, it's a work in progress, and it's great to see how far we've already come with the Reefscan console, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah. So talking about the console is currently the main web wallet, but this is more like oriented to developers. It's not very UX friendly. If you compare the UX with Clever, it's uncomparable. Clever is way better UX for the user. So what we are working on in Q4 is we're releasing an updated app. Right now, the one that's out there, it's getting deprecated. That's why we called it the legacy dApp. And so basically, we're coming with our own web wallet where you will be able to see what you're holding on your address, your NFTs, your like pie chart with distribution, what's the percentage of this token and that token, etc. So I muted you there because there was some echo.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah. Besides this, what we've did in Q3 is the bridge through Clever. It's what's important about the bridge is basically what we've been saying, that we want external projects that are adding value in the ecosystem and they're contributing with core infrastructure. So this was the first of its kind, where a bridge, which is a pretty important part of the ecosystem, is the first one is deployed by external party. So this is what we wanted to achieve. So what you can do besides bridging, you can also transfer. So it's basically the most friendly Reef wallet right now. As well as you can create a stash, you can nominate, and then you can basically through this mechanism, the community calls this mechanism staking. So that then they earn rewards. The good thing about this is that we've managed to get all the validators fully oversubscribed. Obviously, for a lot of users, this was not good news. But we didn't expect the demand for staking. It oversubscribed in a matter of in 1 week. So what we are working now is we're working on a way where everyone will be able to access staking. And the thing is that the way the governance module works and the nominators, you have each validator can get 64 nominators, and now they're sorted based on the amount of reef that they're holding. So basically, this staking is not very suitable for people that are holding like a small balance of reef tokens. But we are coming with a solution for this, which will be even more user friendly than the current staking, because we will be linking a validator to a smart contract, and then the rewards earned by this validator are automatically relayed to the smart contract. And then in the smart contract, the users can just one-click stake their tokens, and then we can do the reverse operation automatically as well. So this is again a more user-friendly way to achieve this. So that's for Q3. So again, basically the supportive infrastructure, there is not much user-centric products out there besides the console, the block explorer, etc. And Q4 is all about dApps, right? So what happens with Q4? The most exciting things that are coming is the Reef Pad. This is again external project that we are advising, we're helping to get off the ground, and it's completely different from all the other launch pads. It's completely permissionless, but it has a lot of interesting curation mechanisms built in, because the demand for projects to run IDO on Reef has been insane. So what we've been helping, we're trying to achieve to find and filter out which are the best projects and prioritize based on their progress and how fast they can deliver the product. And talking about this, I announced in the Turkish community, Nerf, this will be most likely the first project on Reef Pad. This is completely different than everything that's out there. I call it NFT mirroring. It's because there's nothing like that. There's no terminology, right? So you take something that from an existing ecosystem such as Steam. It's a huge place where you have a big marketplace, a lot of volume, a lot of huge community, and those users can log in with their Steam account, and they'll be able to mint NFTs with the inventory that they have on their account. And once they mint these NFTs, they will be able to trade the NFT through the marketplace. So basically sell it. And what this allows is users that are not very friendly with this ecosystem, they will still be able to get exposure to this asset class. I think it's a completely new asset class. If you take a look at what's happening there, there is no correlation to the crypto market nor the stock market. So this is a cool place where someone can basically allocate some percentage of their portfolio, and without having to learn anything about those games, right? So this is it. And then what happens is when you burn this NFT, if you decide to burn this NFT, you will get the actual item in your inventory, and then you'll be able to use it in the game. So this is the idea behind. Obviously, it has its own token. There are guardians of the inventory. There are a lot of mechanics. So hopefully, the guys that again, this is external project, part of the Reef ecosystem, and they're pushing to release the first version this quarter. But this has to be done after Reef Pad. So those are the two big things coming, besides the other dApps that we have already announced. I will talk about it in a moment. I just want to mention briefly the debit card. On the integration side, we are basically done. What happens now is we are working with MasterCard on approval on certain things. There are some changes that had to be done so there are some legislation changes that we had to follow. So I think the main lag why it's not out there is bureaucracy and formalities. So we are really pushing to get it out in Q4. It was supposed to happen in Q2. It didn't, so now it just gets postponed. But it's the bottleneck is not on our side. So there's nothing we can do. We're trying to speed up as much as we can.
Yeah, as usual, there's always things that are not within any team's control, and this, it's easy to say to banks, the company who's helping us out with this. It's easy to say, yeah, let's go ahead, and their website promotes that we can get you up and running in weeks, not months. Cool, but when there are things that are completely outside of an organization's control, we kind of have to sit on our hands and wait until some clarity is offered, and then we can actually move forward. So we're at that point. Denko, Valeria, and I have all been talking about Reef Card lately, and programs, how to design it, how to market it, etc. So it's definitely something that's coming, but yeah, it's taking a little bit longer than we had hoped, obviously.
Yeah. So next thing besides the debit card in Q4 are the things that I'm the most excited about personally. It's the web wallet and the mobile app. So I know that the mobile app was announced in Q3 and we do have it, but I was not happy with the features. I was not happy with how it looks and behaves. So we need a few more weeks to finish it. I feel like it's better to postpone it than to deliver something that is not just fulfilling the standards. That, I mean, if one goes on our website, the way it behaves and the way it looks, it's extremely professional. So we have to achieve this level of UX throughout our whole product suite. So this is the main reason. The functionality is there, but it's still, we don't want to release an app that looks like the console. Like, it has to be very user friendly. It has to look, behave like Clever. Clever is extremely good, in my opinion. But besides this, the web wallet is also coming, and this one will have even more functionality. So the web wallet would be basically the main portal. So whenever people hear about Reef Chain, they would go on this dApp and they will be able to do everything there. So create your wallet, download the extension, set up your account, swap tokens, fiat on ramp through a third provider, fiat off ramp through the debit card, dApp store. What can I do with this wallet? You can click and open in another tab Nerf, or you can open the DEX, etc. And some of the main DeFi stuff, such as DEX, will also be integrated. Actually, if you go on, I think there is already some test deployment somewhere. I have to find the link. So basically, it's one place where you can just go and do everything Reef related. And extending on this idea comes the Reef UI kit. So the UI kit is a design system. So Salesforce have a similar one. It's called Lightning Design System. And what happens here is they took Apple's approach, same like we did. So when you take a look at the iPhone, when you open the settings app and the phone app, you can see that they look and behave similarly. So you know that this is an Apple app. It's not an Android app. Like, Android has the material design, Apple has their own design. So what we are doing is we are creating this UI kit, and we are gonna open source it. So new developers will be able to just go and take off the shelf those dummy components, and they will be able to mix and match them based on what they need, and then they can deploy a web app, which is a dApp in the background that looks and behave like all of our dApps, as well as developers that do have a dApp already. They will be able to easily adapt their app to look like Reef. So we will be the first ones using the UI kit ourselves. So Reef Swap, Reefscan, the Block Explorer, all of these, the whole product suite will be using this component and the web wallet as well. And they're also like integrated throughout each other. So for example, in the web wallet, in some section, you might see a small widget that's exactly the same as the Block Explorer widget, right? Just like how we see in the Apple ecosystem, everything is integrated. When you open a pop-up somewhere, it's the same pop-up everywhere. So it's just sharing those components between the whole product suite, but also make them look and behave the same. So this is our big plan, and we are working with with a very big third party who are literally the best. Just like I said, that our website guys were the best. It's the same situation with this. So I'm really looking forward to this. And the last thing that's exciting from our side, before I go to the dApps, is the extension. So currently, our product suite is interacting with Polkadot.js extension, which is fine, but it's also very development focused. Like first, the name itself has JS. Like it's not like it's not meant to be a product that the users will be facing, or at least it looks like it's not. So you have these code snippets when you call a function, and it's not user friendly. It's not like DeFi made easy. It's not fulfilling those standards. So we are creating our own extension, which will make the user experience even better. And all of this, like lifting, like EVM binding, and creating and importing and connecting ledger, all of those things will be seamless. Talking about ledger, that's also a plan for Q4. We are testing some things out. We have to go through them through the audit. I don't have like a estimate how long that audit takes, but since they already have support for substrate chain, it's going to be probably fairly fast. Hopefully by end of Q4 we will have it.
Yeah, honestly, I mean that's something that takes an incredibly long time. I've got a Trezor hardware wallet, and I don't remember the last time a brand new chain was added. Certainly not native support. Even things like obviously it supports Ethereum. So for even side chains or layer twos like XDAI, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, which literally all work exactly the same way to the user, and Trezor actually supports them, but I got to use MetaMask. Like I have to access the Trezor device through MetaMask. So it's fine, I can do it, but like that's it's just a pain in the butt, and I'd much rather have native support through Trezor's desktop app, which is really nice, or Ledger Live for Ledger device. And so if that's doable, then that's we just have to wait a little bit of time, but I think the fact that people will know it's coming and we're working with the Ledger team, I think that's the important thing here.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've already given away ledgers, so the Reef Chain support is coming. That's the signal. Cool. So yeah, besides this, just one thing that's very important to understand. So I think the users here already took a look at our ecosystem map. So all of these partnerships, all of these dApps they're deploying on Reef, what happens with them and where are they, right? That's the main question. So again, if we start from the year coverage and how I split all the quarters of what our goal is, right now what we are working on at this very moment is we are onboarding the second validator, the second wave of validator, the second set of validators on the chain. And those are all external projects, and those are projects that I call the core on-chain infrastructure. So these are stable coins like Tether, these are oracles like Chainlink, and you have Graph, and you have bridges like AnySwap, etc. So those are the main projects that are, again, they're invisible, mostly invisible in the eyes of the users. They don't have like a UI, they're not a dApp per se. But they're all the other dApps are pretty much dependent on those projects existing on the chain. So for example, if you take a look at Aave, they're like, okay guys, sounds great, we want to be on Reef Chain. So but we have few requirements, and we need graph support, we need USDT or USDC, we need a bridge, and it better be like bidirectional, and it has to be flexible, where if we decide to deploy our native token versus our wrap token, etc. So again, this is what we are working on. We are working with big names like Chainlink and Binance and Bitfinex. So they're all the next validator set it takes some time. Obviously, we have to go back and forth and what is our plan. But in the upcoming weeks, we expect to increase our validator set further, and hopefully by Q1 next year, the Reef team will be the minority of the validator set, which even now, if you see some of the very established projects, they haven't achieved this, because it's extremely hard to achieve where you have less than 50% of the voting power, right? So this is our strategy of how can we become really decentralized, and in a year from now, it won't really matter what I personally do. I mean, obviously, I want to be further involved for a very long time. But what I'm saying, in the governance process, there will be other third parties, big projects involved. So I think that that's the only way how one can exponentially grow the ecosystem and trigger the network effect. And we've seen that with how powerful this is with the other projects. Yeah. So besides this, once this on-chain infrastructure is deployed, so we need more bridges and oracles. We are deploying all the dApps that we announced. So we are already working with them in the background. They need a small adjustment, because most of them, if they have existing product, they're using MetaMask. So they will need to adapt to the Polkadot.js extension or the Reef extension, which is basically the same. And then it will be just easy. As we've seen on the testnet, we had over 200 smart contracts, and they're all different dApps playing and adapting their stuff. So I would say the testnet is still very, very active. So that's the plan for Q4. Many things are happening, from Reef Pad to stablecoins to more validators to extension to, it's just a lot of work. And we've been expanding our team rapidly. The development team is over 15 people now. We have leads for all of these products. We have the core team, the core blockchain team. We have the block explorer. We have the web wallet. We have the mobile app, and then the web wallet has sub modules inside as well. So and then the Reef swap as well. So this progress can easily be tracked on GitHub. So that's what's coming. Now I want to mention, I want to go back again to the Reef Chain validator updates. So again, I mentioned that all the validators are oversubscribed. So we have a lot of nominators. I think almost 1,000 nominators. So that's pretty good. And over 40% of the Reef Chain supply is staked. So and on top, the validators that are run by us, by the team, and the people that build basically the infrastructure, you can also see that all those tokens are still either they either nominate another validator, or they just basically stake themselves. So that's cool. We have currently 23 validators. Hopefully by end of this year we will get to at least 35, maybe 40 validators. Obviously external people. And one more thing is the Reef Chain token has Bitfinex support. That's the initial partnership that we had, and obviously from here it progresses further, and we the end goal is to get Tether on board and get them to be a validator as well, and even have staking on Bitfinex as well as Binance. So this would make it even easier for some users that do not have extensions, or they don't want to play with the dApps, or they're scared. They can just go and one click do that. So that's on the validator set. Now a bit on the community updates. We've seen that we've crossed 200,000 Twitter followers, which is great, and our Discord grew 300%. So it's been crazy. Our development chat on Matrix is also seeing more and more activity. So things are happening on that front as well. Obviously, we are expanding our marketing team and efforts to further ramp up and just continue with the momentum once we start onboarding the dApps as well. And talking about dApps, we've published multiple times our ecosystem map. So one can easily go and figure out what's coming, which are the projects that we are working with. It's very, quality projects. We have a lot of tier 1 projects that we are working with. So I think the best way to go is on Medium and take a look at this, as well as read the recap of the recent AMA that I had in the Turkish community, and one can understand a bit deeper. I think this fireside chat was meant for people that want to get a quick update on Reef. So we're running over 30 minutes, so I think we should slowly move to the questions part. But I want to mention 2 more things. First is we will be part of the Gitcoin Hackathon. We are the biggest sponsor there. We have a dedicated team that will help the people that will be building on Reef. So this obviously attracts a lot of developers, and we are very, very excited about it. Second is the dApp store. So this dApp store is pretty much the dApp registry, but it has an addition where our goal is to bring the new dApps user base. So we are building incentive models on the chain itself, where when you interact with these apps, you can earn some, either you can get some NFTs or you can earn some tokens, etc. So our job is to bring those dApps users, and their job is to provide like a quality product as well as a product that has product market fit, and then they can keep growing in user base.
Nice, almost like a rabbit hole campaign where you actually use the product, or you learn something about the product in rabbit hole's case, and use it, like, to do certain tasks, and then you actually earn some tokens, or like you said, an NFT in return for actually engaging with the dApp.
Pretty much.
Nice.
And last but not least is the learning resources that we promised last quarter. We already started publishing this series, so we have the YouTube playlist, so one can go and learn how to use the console application, how to transfer Reef from Ethereum chain to Reef Chain, how the accounts work, how they can bond, etc. And we are also working on our own bespoke blog, so it will be different than Medium, where this one will be focused on things where people can learn or they can engage with certain things, and Medium will be more focused on the partnerships and what's coming, while here it's more like learning resources and how can one get started. So this is also in progress. The test version is already deployed out there. Hope we'll most likely get it up and running within the next 10 days or so.
So yeah, I've seen some of the content. It's really high quality stuff. I think everybody's really going to learn a lot if you actually go read it.
Yeah, cool. So I think that's from my side. I think we can jump to the questions. So I just want to make sure that when people watch this again, they can in 30 minutes they can understand what we've been doing and what's coming.
Yeah. So I don't think it's that contentious, but I think a lot of people don't understand about what the actual max supply is now. So I think it was originally total supply of 20 billion, but that was before deciding to deploy our own mainnet with our own validators and all the rest. So can you just address for everybody, hopefully for the last time,
so
how max supply works now?
So you have different tokenomics models in general, and then if you have like a dApp, like Aave, for example, or protocol, they have certain tokenomics, and then you have blockchains that have other tokenomics. And with Reef, the thing is that we have inflation in our blockchain, right? So this inflation currently is around 8%. One can see it in real time in the console. If you go in console under staking, one will be able to see the current inflation, and basically it's less than Polkadot's inflation right now. I'm just looking at it. It has validators and everything. So basically there is no max supply. That's the answer. The supply is decided by the validators, and so far it's 8%. So the supply is increasing 8% a year, but it might get to 5%. This is very dynamic, and the community can also by nominating and they have a vote in this as well. So in the web wallet, there is a governance module as well where people can get involved with this. And at certain point, we as a Reef team, we will not have power over what the current supply is. It's exactly like Ethereum. And the cool thing is that we have the gas fees are getting burned. So once people start engaging, as we've seen on Ethereum, at one point they had deflationary day. So the amount of newly created tokens in the network was less than the amount of tokens burned for that day. Right. Obviously, we are not there yet because this needs dApps and this needs user base to integrate with these dApps, but we are moving towards this. So you have inflation from one side, and then you have deflation on one side. The inflation is adjusted dynamically. The deflation is based on engagement of the network, and then there will be a chart where people can see how many new tokens are created. Because every block new tokens are created, and how many tokens are burned every block. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I will say, I'm not going to name it, but it's similar to another project which is very, very well known and has delegators and indexers and everything else. And the initial project team set out inflation of 3% for the first year. But after that, it could be 1, it could be -5, it could be 20, because it really all depends on the economics at the time of making sure it's worth it for people to participate, running very, very expensive infrastructure and putting in a lot of time and effort to make sure that infrastructure is up and running and validating transactions or indexing or whatever, and that it's also worth for nominators, in our case, to bond and nominate validators and help secure the network. So 8% a year is, or for the first year, I guess, I think is pretty fair. We really won't know until it's actually been happening for a while, and then, as you said, governance will kick in, and probably 10 months in or something like that, and then they can decide, is that the right amount or should it be less? And I'm sure there will be some selfish and some altruistic reasons to decide that, and we'll see what happens. But that's a really good reason to nominate and bond, or bond and nominate, so that you can put your votes behind a validator who you think has Reef Chain and the whole ecosystem's best interests at heart.
Yeah. So what happens now, because we are onboarding external validators, the reward is as such because they need to get some rewards, so that it's very simple. Like, this landscape has been iterating on this concept for many years now. So it's all about aligning incentives and having skin in the game, and like, why should anyone contribute to the ecosystem, right? So that's what happens. Like, it has to be proper positioning, and this is obviously tied with incentives. So yeah.
Terrific. Reef card availability. I don't know if you can speak to this right now, but Monica, sorry, I should go back to a sec. Reef to the Moon. That's their username. Sorry, that's who wanted to ask about the max supply and just get that addressed, and hopefully for the last time, at least in a venue like this. Monica wanted to know about Reef card availability at launch. Do you know at this point where it's going to be available? Which countries or which jurisdictions?
So initially it will be available in Europe. And US, and then we are expanding it over to Asia and India as well. I mean, India is in Asia pretty much, but that's yes. So our first target is Europe.
Okay, sounds like
the whole legislation and the structure is around Europe, but the way it's done, it will roll out worldwide really fast, similar to Binance's card. I mean, they don't have it everywhere, but they have it in most of the places.
Yeah, here in Canada, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer. I know that's not your fault. And similar for Binance card, I can't get it here. I do have a Crypto.com card, but I'm very much looking forward to switching to Reef card as soon as I can. LV426 wanted to know a little bit more about the mobile app. You talked a little bit about it. It sounds like it's basically going to be an all-encompassing mobile app where you can interact with the dApps, load up. Will you be able to load up the Reef card through that mobile app, or would that be a separate one?
Yes, you will be able to load it, to manage the card, freeze the card, change the PIN, check your transactions, check your spending history, And so the initial this is why the app is late. So initially we wanted to have Polka wallet support. So the way they built it is they have this core modules, and then you have all these other chains, all these other parachains, and then on the left side you can go and you can pick. But the way the architecture was done, so what we did is you can take the boilerplate module, which is like the example module, and then you can build on top.
Yeah.
And then we've done it. This app is completely done. But then the thing is that from their side, they did not have a lot of resources to allocate for supporting, plus the UI and the UX was not there. It still is not there. So what we are doing now is we decided to just take out the logic that we built and put it in our own native app that will look and feel the way we want.
Rainer is very much looking forward to buying cheeseburgers with the Reef Chain. Cesar and everybody else, listen, we love the Turkish community. I don't read Turkish, and I don't know if Denko does, but like your sentiment and you being here is very much appreciated. Yeah, but I got to use Google Translate for everything Turkish. I could recognize it just by seeing it. I know what Turkish looks like, but sorry, I can't read any of the especially the chats that are coming in. Not even never mind the questions. Cool. So Richie on Road, who I think I know whose Telegram handle that is. They're hoping for a comment on interoperability with other blockchains. They asked specifically about Solana, but can you elaborate a little bit on how that's going to work and what that will look like? And I'll say, for everybody who's waiting, right after this question, I will give you the instructions on how to go get your POAP badge for being here today.
Yeah, so regarding interoperability, it's one of our big visions. We are still building the infrastructure that would lead to this. But interoperability has been an effort from the whole blockchain community for a while now, and most of the solutions are still not there yet. The only interoperability, which is not really interoperability, are the bridges, but most of them, that's not interoperability. Like I've been in healthcare, and this is where the word, was born. The word interoperability in tech was born in healthcare because there were so many issues with the data silos and so on.
Pretty sure there still are.
Yeah, there are many as well. So what happens now? The only things that have a promising layer of interoperability are the XCMP, that is basically the Polkadot, as well as the IBC, which is from Cosmos. But this is still like we've seen recently. Gavin published the XCM. It's like a data structure of a sort, which would enable the cross parachain communication. But this is still very, very early. And what we are looking at, we are trying out new concepts every month, and we are still not happy. We are trying to innovate ourselves as well, but we're still not happy because it's not, that user friendly. Like real interoperability is still, I think, at least 1 to 2 years away. But until then, we would be obviously leaning on the best mechanisms out there, and those are bridges at this very moment. So that's what we are focused on. So you will be able to bridge from BSC to Reef Chain, from Solana to Reef Chain, from Ethereum to Reef Chain. So either wrapped tokens or native tokens. And what we want to do, that we've seen that other ecosystems kind of failed, is you have so many instances of the wrapped token that the user is super confused what's going on. You have user number 1 that swapped on bridge number 1. You have user number 2 that swapped on bridge number 2. And then the tokens that they get, one is, let's say Ether. One is A wrapped Ether, one is B wrapped Ether. And then you have a dApp that interacts with A wrapped Ether, but not B wrapped Ether. So then you have this, it's a huge problem. The liquidity gets even further fragmented. So it's getting worse than it was a year ago, right? So we are trying to and this is not easy to achieve because you have community and people use different bridges because they want to, and other bridges because everything is permissionless, they just decide to list this. So we are trying to standardize those things, and then the users will not be confused. Again, in Q4 we need a bridge that's not just Reef bridge, so people can start bringing the liquidity like from the other chains as well and participate in the DeFi activities that will be happening on Reef, and liquidity mining events, etc.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to name names because I don't think it's nice to, but I did see very recently a brand new bridge that had a lot of hype, specifically for Solana, had some major problems. And so, you know, and I've used the Binance bridge to move stuff from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain, and that didn't work because it created a whole new token instead of the one I wanted. So there are definitely still issues here. And so, like, I get that people, they want these things, they want them right now. Absolutely, we agree. But, you know, in actually trying them out and testing them out, we don't want to tell you to go use something that's not ready. So that's just going to end up in a terrible situation for everybody. So load up the POAP mobile app, Reef Q3 Fireside, or hit the mint button, type Reef Q3 Fireside, and that's your POAP for you. Designed by Igor, our wonderful designer.
Great. By the way, Derek, I want to go briefly through some of these small questions that I see in the,
I've got two more here
podcast
as well, and then any
Okay.
other ones you wanna go through. Well, really quick here.
Okay.
Bene Ricci also wanted to know about Fiat gateways. Sounds like that's hopefully a Q4 thing, as long as everything goes well with Reef Card and the mobile app. Is that
Yeah.
more or less accurate?
So I want Fiat gateway. So the Fiat gateway would be on ramp, and the debit card would be off ramp. So I want both of those things to happen at the same time. The off ramp is harder, obviously, because we are waiting for the debit card, while the on ramp will be will go through MoonPay.
All right, last question, and then we'll address any other ones you want to go through. Adama wanted to ask about other Reef token use cases. So obviously there's nominating, validating, paying for transactions on chain, a portion of which gets burned. Do you have any other ambitions for other use cases for the Reef token specifically?
Of course, the Reef token is like Ether. It's powering the network. So you know, we have Reef Pad, the IDO. You have to participate in it with Reef tokens. It's another case. You have lending protocols, and you want to leverage, and you want to collateralize, and you know, do something else. So the Reef token is basically in all of those dApps. So whatever you're doing, you have to pay either the gas fee, or in order to participate in the dApp, this is the main, you know, resource. So just take a look at, you know, what is on the other chains, and these are all the possibilities, basically everything. And all the pools
Terrific.
on ReefSwap, will have Reef pool. So all the projects deploying on Reef that have token will have a Reef pool. So for example, you have Reef Nerf, Reef something else, Reef, etc. So if you wanna buy their token, you will need to have Reef.
That's awesome. I was just talking to somebody earlier today who was having some issues exchanging one token for another, and in my investigation to try to help them out, I realized there's very, very little liquidity for the one token they want and for the other token they're trying to exchange for. So never mind, like there's no single route that you to take from the one token that they have to the token they want to get. There's a couple of different hops in between, but you know, my concern for them was going to be like, there's so much gas here happening on Ethereum, you have to go so many different steps that it's going to be like 200,000, maybe 300,000 gas just to you know, just to exchange it. And so depending on how much they have, you know, how much a stable coin that they have, and the gas fee that they were going to have to pay, not sure it's going to be worth it for them. But but if we have a situation where every token on ReefSwap has a pool with Reef, that will make the routing much simpler. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah. Cool. So I assume
Terrific.
that
All right.
that's all
That's
your
all the questions that I
questions.
saw. Yeah, those are all the questions I saw that I wanted to make sure we asked. If there, we got
Okay.
about 5, 6 minutes
I
left
will
here. So if there's
go.
other ones you
I
want
will
to go
go
through,
through.
go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Sure. I will go through. I see some other questions here. So how many dApps we have developing to Reef Chain? The best way to do is to go to the ecosystem map as well as our Medium, and then you will see all of them. It's probably over 50 now. So just
Yeah, the
go
ecosystem
check
map
check
hasn't
out.
been. Yeah, it hasn't been updated since August. I'm gonna ask. There's a couple guys who manage that for us, who maintain it. I'm gonna ask them to after this to go update it, and we'll get that out later this week or early next as an update
Yeah,
to the ecosystem map.
great. When will be the first dApp on Reef Chain? There are many dApps currently in progress, but you can go and check Reef Swap. That's already on mainnet. You can even check the Block Explorer. The Block Explorer itself is a dApp because you can interact with the smart contracts.
Yeah.
But now NFT marketplaces are coming. We're launching NFTs, not just Nerf, but other, I can't share a lot of info now, but there will be a lot of excitement around NFTs once the core blockchain infrastructure is in place. So that's that. White supply is going up. We already mentioned this. We have investors batches end of every quarter. Next quarter is the last quarter, Q4. That's all.
Okay.
No more tokens for investors. Plus we have the inflation built in. Plus we have the bridge that we have to service. Plus we have to give tokens to some of these projects to deploy stuff, provide liquidity, etc. So this is the reason why.
Yeah.
Let's see. How are you going to promote this project? We are already doing that. The moment we have more dApps, most of our marketing campaigns will have call to action built in. So people, it won't be like now, like what's coming. It will be like today, just like how Derek said now, go and put this code and mint your NFT. That's what happens. Like this dApp is out there live today, go try it out. You have, if you try it out in 24 hours, you will earn some reward, etc. So obviously this gives more weight to the marketing as well, and it will be, because of that, more efficient.
Yep.
When Binance is going to support Reef Mainnet, we are working with them. They're super swamped with stuff. We've passed all the, they had like audit process, they had their own due diligence process. We went through all of that. Now we have to start the integration. But the cool news is that they already support substrate chains, and the currency module is the same. So hopefully, I'm pretty confident that Q4 we will see Reef Mainnet token on Binance.
Now, hang on. Remember, he said he's confident that it'll happen Q4. That is not a definitely. That is not a. It's certainly going to happen. Let's not put.
Yeah.
I see this often where people are like, "You said something's going to happen this quarter." No, we're saying we're hoping or confident it's going to happen this quarter. But these sorts of questions, when like, when's this other team going to do this thing? Ultimately, it's really up to them.
It's up to them.
We can hope, we can push, we can prod, but this is almost like a regulation thing where we're literally relying on a third party to follow through on their end.
Yeah, so the bottleneck is on there. It's like the MasterCard. Like I cannot ask MasterCard to approve the card tomorrow. Like they have their own internal process that I have no idea about. They're like, we will need 4 to 5 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know why. To me, it seems it's like one day of work, but I have no idea what's happening in the background. So it's same with Binance. We're doing our best to get it out there. Why the Reef roadmap was removed? It's not removed. It's just the link is not on the website. You can still see it on reef.finance/roadmap. But we are working on a redesign of that as well, and the link will be included there. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay. Looks like Visna from Indonesia wants to make sure that there's, I think you're looking for a recap of this AMA. We will make that happen. No worries. I don't think we should expect anybody to sit down or listen to an hour of chatter when they can read it instead. If that's how they prefer to learn, that's fine. We'll work with with other people on the team to make sure that there's a recap, and so you can go read it later. Which obviously shows that they're super engaged with the Reef Chain ecosystem and the Reef Finance team. Denko, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any closing thoughts you want to impart on the community before we end here?
No, I think that's all from my side. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks Derek for hosting, and just follow our progress on Telegram and Medium and our new blog post soon. And looking forward to see you using the new dApps soon.
Terrific. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your Wednesday, no matter which time zone you're in, or early Thursday. And we'll see you again for another Fireside Chat in a few months.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.